Hello and welcome back to another video, and today we're going to talk about how to invest in a RESP. So let's get started. A RESP is an investment plan that allows you to save money for your post-secondary education. The reason why I am making this video is because 67% of Canadians said they have debt when they graduate from post-secondary education, averaging $22,000. Meanwhile, only 29% of Canadians invest annually into their RESP. This proves that many Canadians don't take advantage of their RESP, which can hurt them financially in the future. I hope making this video would help young students to start investing regularly into their RESP so they don't need to deal with the struggles that post-secondary students deal with today. In order to set up a RESP, you need to get a social insurance number. If you do not already have one, there is no charge. However, some papers are necessary, such as birth certificates. The next step will be to choose a RESP provider that best suits your needs. RESPs are offered by the majority of financial institutions, such as banks and credit unions, as well as qualified financial advisors and group plan dealers. I'll leave some in the description of this video if you're interested in researching some providers. There are many advantages in investing in an RESP. One of the biggest advantages of an RESP is that the government will provide a 20% grant to annual contributions up to $2,500 each year. Let's look at this example. This adult had a child when he or she is 27 years old. The table on the left represents the age of the adult. The table in the middle represents the money he deposited into his child's RESP, and the table on the right represents the grants he received from the government. If he wasn't receiving any government grants when depositing, he would lose $7,200 of grants given by the government. If we divide it by the average amount he was depositing each year, this adult will have to make an additional deposits for an additional 3.5 years in order for him to reach the same amount of money he would reach when he was just receiving government grants, with an assumption that the money does not gain any interest or growth once it is deposited. Another advantage is that you don't pay tax on any of the investment earnings as long as they stay in the RESP. That means that your savings can grow faster even if the government never gives you any grants. Last advantage is that despite the RESP grant ending when the child turns 17, you could still keep the RESP account for 36 years, which can be very useful if your child does secondary education later or continues their education in master's degree or PhD programs. The biggest disadvantage in investing in a RESP is that if you use the earnings on anything but post-secondary education, you will receive a 20% fee, which means that you have to give the government grant money back. Another disadvantage is that there is also a maximum amount of grant money the government can give to one child, which is $7,200, meaning you can't deposit tens of thousands of dollars and get 20% government grants from it. The best tip will be to start contributing into an RESP as early as possible in order to maximize grant gains, because the government will stop providing grants once your child turns 17. So start investing as early as possible to maximize government grants. You also benefit from early compound interest if you invest early into the RESP. There are many questions surrounding RESPs, such as, will your parents have to pay any fees? The gains in an RESP are tax-free, and there are no fees for setting up an RESP. However, your contributions are not tax deductible, so it does not work like an RRSP. Can you catch up if you miss a year? Yes, prior grant years can be caught up one at a time. If you provide $5,000 per child, you'll be able to maximize the current year while also catching up on the previous year. Because you can only catch up once a year at a time, it'll take a minimum of 8 years to catch up on CEGS, assuming you're starting from zero. Do I have to put a minimum amount of money into a RESP? You're not required to put a minimum amount of money into the RESP. However, you would make very little to no money if you do so. So you might as well try maximizing your RESP. What are my investment choices? There are fixed income investments that include short-term bonds, guaranteed investment certificates, and cash yield in investment savings account. There are also equity investments, which include stock, equity, and mutual funds. What happens if you don't use all the RESP money? Money put into a RESP during the course of the plan's existence can be withdrawn and returned to the subscriber. There is no extra tax on withdrawal contributions. However, there is a tax when withdrawing the government grant unless you transfer it to an RRSP. If you have several children, do I have to set up a RESP account for each children? No, you don't. There are flexible family plans that allow for numerous members who are connected to the individual making the contributions through blood or adoption. Is there a penalty for over contributing to an RESP? Yes. Any contributions that exceed the $50,000 lifetime limit is subject to a tax penalty of 1% of the over contribution per month until the over contribution is withdrawn. That's the video for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you want to see information on how to set up an RESP, go to the description down below to see any providers. And yeah, take care.